Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following confession that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that we received. Strange things they do happen in this world. And the message that we received, it reads like this. Hello, how are you? Can you please post my story as anonymous? My confession, it goes on like this. My name is Mandla and I am a man that is aged 36 years old, and I have been in and out of hospital, and I can't even count the number of times that I have been admitted in the hospital here where I stay in Pretoria. I am now staying with my auntie. The challenge that I am facing and I am asking for advice is that where I am staying, my auntie was not in good books with my father when my father was still alive, and my auntie, I really never took care of her when I was making money. By the time that I was working at a particular mortuary, when I was working at this mortuary, which was in Johannesburg. So I was focusing on myself, trying to develop my life, but I did not know, because there was no one who told me that when someone gives you money and that person is involved in rituals, there is a high possibility that the money that they give to you, you are not going to do anything with that money. That is what was happening all the years when I worked at that mortuary. We used to make big money. The only thing that I could do was to buy expensive clothes and buy a car. That's when I was able to do, and to stay in a nice apartment. But whenever I would try to develop myself, because I knew that what we were doing at that mortuary, it was very evil and it involved a lot of Satanism, and there were a lot of traditional healers that used to come and collect even body parts. So I wanted to walk away from that type of a lifestyle, but I tried by all means to invest. I even tried to buy a bakkie, which I wanted to start a business, like a courier business under a franchise with the money that I had. But somehow at the last minute, they told me that they had disqualified me. I really do not know why they disqualified me from being part of that franchise. Yet I was someone that had enough money to start on that franchise. So those are some of the things that happened. So I was working and I was making money, and I did not take care of any of my relatives. And this is why my auntie, she always is angry at me. She just said that I'm just going to give you food and I'm going to give you a roof over your head. So when I get sick, sometimes I have to ask the people in the street where I am staying to assist me so that they can take me to the hospital. Sometimes I can suffer throughout the night because there is no one who would want to call an ambulance, and I have to wait until the next morning. If I have enough strength, then I can go to the neighbor's house and I can ask for them to accompany me to the hospital. As for my auntie, she will tell me that she is too busy with other things. There is no way that she would leave whatever that she would be doing so that she can go with me to the hospital, because it won't benefit him. At least she is giving me food and they have given me a back room, and I'm scared that I am going to die in this back room without anyone looking after me. The women that I had in my life, the last woman that I had, I thought that she was going to stick by me as she had promised me. But when she saw that I was really sick, she drained the last money that was in my account. Then she ran to KZN. Where she is right now, I don't know. She ran away with almost 50k that I had in my account. Maybe if I had that money, I could have started even a small spaza shop to have something going on so that I can be able to take care of myself. Let me take you back a little bit before I tell you the truth of what happened. I grew up in Tembisa. I was raised by my grandmother from my father's side, and then my mother got married and my grandmother got so mad, and she said that since your mother is always chasing after all of these men, because my mom, she quickly got married before people expected her to get married after my dad had passed away. So my grandmother ill-treated me and I ran away. Life was so hard. I even dropped out of school. I started working small jobs. I started working as a security guard. I did not even go for training. Then from there, I started working as a patrol attendant and I worked as well as a street vendor. And then in 2013, that was when a friend from church told me that there was an opening at this other mortuary, which I'll say that it is in Jamestown, but that is not where the mortuary is. I said, hell no, I will never work in a mortuary, no matter what they say. Even if Jesus comes today and tell me that I have to work in a mortuary, there is no way that I can work there. But my friend started working. In the first month, when he came back from work, the first thing that he did was to show me his pay slip, and I saw that it was written 8K before deductions, which was more than anything that I had ever dreamt of earning before. And my friend said that there was still an opening because there were other guys that he had been working with, and those people, they were scared to work in the mortuary, and still there was a position. If I wanted, I would get the job, like we could work together. I then said, okay, it's fine. We then went there and I was trained to do everything. The normal procedure, you get trained to clean, to prepare bodies before burial. I was really scared and they taught me how to disassociate myself from death and not to see a dead body as a dead person, but as a product that we have to clean up, polish, and to give back to the people so that the product can be buried. And when I was told this by my boss, I think that I lost all sensitivity when it comes to me being a human being as well as being around dead people. I did not see them as human beings anymore, and I was not scared. I used to take some sleeping pills that they give you when you start to work at the mortuary. So this was about me trying to make it now in life, and still I did not want people to know that I was working at a mortuary, because my friend said if we tell people that we are working at a mortuary, everyone is going to be scared of us, even girls. There is no one that would want to date someone that is working at a mortuary. So we hid the truth from everyone else, and then we worked and we worked. But the first day, because they start by giving you day shift, because they know that if they start by giving you night shift, it will freak the hell out of you and you won't come back to work. It was during the day. Everything was visible. And when I first walked into a cold room for the first time in my life, I told myself that these people that are dead, they are going to haunt me. And I told my boss that I was scared, and he reminded me that I had to think about where I was coming from, because my friend had told my boss that I was coming from a place of poverty. And he said, these are just dead people. He even said that when he was opening one of the drawers and inside there was a dead man that was in there, he's not going to hurt you. He even moved the leg of that dead man and he said, you see, there is nothing that happened. And I did not even know that this man, he was going to teach me how to even remove body parts and water from the people that were there in the mortuary. At first, everything was normal. We would receive bodies from hospital. We would take them, clean them, and wait for families to collect them. This was the normal procedure that we did. Then I started to notice something that was always strange that was happening. Some of our senior colleagues, they always had money. And my friend, when we would get our money, I would end up borrowing money from him, and he will not have even yet touched his salary. He will say that I'm going to give you money from my salary and I want you to return it back. And I was like, how are you managing? Because we are getting the same salary, but still we get to the next month, yet you have not yet even touched your money from the previous month. How are you surviving? We are using transport, we buy food, and still you still have money. How are you doing this? And he always had big money. He would buy lunch for me and some other women that we were working with. He was always wearing expensive shoes, and when it will be time for us to go out on a groove, he always had money at all the times, always making us to drink expensive whiskey when we were on a groove, but yet our salaries were the same. So I kept on asking myself, where was this guy getting his money from? Then one day we started to talk, me and my friend. He was a little bit drunk, and he said that he was getting money from our boss. And I said, oh, so the boss is paying you double salary? And he laughed and he said, it is more than that. The next day I then asked him, and he said that he was just joking, and it was a joke of a drunk man. You are not supposed to take the joke of a drunk man too seriously. But I kept on asking him until I made him to drink beer again, and then he told me everything that was going on. He told me that he was being taught by our boss to harvest body parts and to give sometimes to go and to give the body parts to other sangomas that were downtown. And he would even drive the boss's car whenever he would be moving with those body parts. And when he told me this, we were both drunk. I laughed because I never thought that those things, they are for real. I had heard people talking about it, but I never thought that there are people here in South Africa that do those things to remove body parts. I never thought that it was for real. A few weeks later, he had told the boss about this. I was on a night shift when an ambulance brought in the body of this other woman who had died on the spot. This woman, she passed away in a car accident. I will say that the woman died near Alberton. And when they brought her, that was when my boss said that he wanted to assist me so that we can start to prepare the body together. When we got to the freezer, then that was when my boss said, we need water from this body. And he just let out a casual laugh. And I said, what do you mean that we need water? He then said, go and fetch a basin. So I went and I collected this other basin. He then told me to put it underneath the steel table, and I placed it underneath the table. So then we started to wash. So we used to wash bodies just using like a normal garden hose pipe, and that is what we used to use. And after we had washed, then we drained the water from her body and we filled that basin. From there on, we went to another room where he took 2 bottles. These were 2-liter bottles that he took out, but they were glass bottles. And he said that I was supposed to fill those 2 bottles with the water. Then the water that was remaining in the basin, I was supposed to go and throw it out in the middle of the street. I was so scared doing that. I went outside and I stood in the middle of the street, just opposite where our mortuary was, but I was standing in the middle of the street. It was quiet because this was late in the night. There was no one that was driving around in town. And I then poured the water that was remaining in the basin into the road. And when I returned back, my boss then pushed 2,000 rands in my pocket, and he said that I was not supposed to count it that night. I was supposed to count it when the sun would have gone up. The next day I could not wait. When I was back home, I then counted the money. I saw that it was 2K. I was so excited. And then my boss later on told me that I was now welcome to the real work where we were supposed to work now. But still, there were days where I could not sleep thinking about the things that we had done. From that day, I started to learn everything that happens behind our mortuary. There was even a secret trade in human body parts. Usually what they would take, the things that were required by different sangomas, were people's hearts, fingers, tongues, and reproductive organs, and this would be sold to sangomas and business people doing spiritual fortification, especially those that owned taxis, the ones that were afraid of having hitmen hired against them so that the hitmen can shoot them. Those were the ones that always wanted spiritual fortification. And the buyers, they would come, they would buy. Sometimes even people that were said to be pastors, they would come, and we would do this whilst we were busy dissecting bodies and putting them into different containers. My boss taught me very well, and he said that when you are when you are removing a body part from a dead person, especially those that would have been crushed in an accident, it will be easy to take body parts from them because they are already damaged. It is different from someone that would have died of a natural death in the hospital or even at home. Then their body is brought at the mortuary. But those that were involved in terrible accidents, we would celebrate when their bodies would be brought to the mortuary. I wanted to quit, but the life that I was living, it was so amazing and it was so marvelous, because once you start to have money, naturally women, they'll start to flow and they would come to you. There was a time when I was dating 19 women. All of these women, they were too beautiful for me to even choose whom I wanted between all of those women. And then the curse came after there was this other woman who had died as well of an accident. This woman, when she came, we were supposed to cut her private parts gently, and we were supposed to take the fluids as well, but the fluids that did not have blood, we were supposed to put it in another bowl, and we had to mix with some herbs. We did like we had been doing. From that day, that was when I saw that things, they started to move so slowly. My boss, he would complain whenever he would give me money. All of a sudden, I then started to get so sick. It started with my legs. My legs, they swelled so big, and even when I went to the doctors, they could not even explain what was happening. And then I was told that one of my organs was shutting down permanently. Ever since that time until now, I am in and out of the hospital, and I failed to go to work until my boss then fired me, even though he promised that he was always going to take good care of me. But then he said, I gave you so much money. With the money that I gave you, you were supposed to do some investments that were going to help you now that you are sick. But like I told you when I started my story, that I tried even to do some investments, but whenever I tried, something bad will just happen. Then that money, it was as if there was someone that will just come and blow away the money far away from me, such that I was unable to do anything with that money. So this is where I am currently. I am staying at my auntie's place. I am a man that used to harvest body parts, and I used to make a lot of money. Within 3 days, sometimes I would get 20k if we would have harvested body parts like 2 times a day. And that money that I was making, I failed to do anything with that money. Now I am suffering. I made money, but I could not save the money. So if you know someone who has been in that situation, who once harvested body parts, if there is someone that you want to connect me with who can assist me, please do so, my brother. And the mistreatment that I am getting from my auntie, I think it is what is going to kill me, because I am always having depression at all the times. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear brother. It was a translation that I was sharing with you. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world. Let us try to speak with our brother in the comment section. I'll be back with another episode.